Good morning, grade 11th. So we're going to talk quickly about photosynthesis, and the document I'm using is a SWAY document that we use for our grade 11th. So if you recall, when we did revision, I spoke to you about chemosynthesis as well. So chemosynthesis is when organisms break down organic chemicals. So they break down chemicals, and when they break down chemicals, they actually get energy from that. And it's like chemicals like methane, hydrogen sulfide. And what they do is, and that's how they get their food. They make their own organic molecules, and that's how they get their food. Photosynthesis, however, is when they use carbon dioxide, radiant energy, water to produce glucose and oxygen. And we know that photosynthesis produces glucose, and glucose is needed for cellular respiration. Now let's look at the structure of the leaf. So we know the cuticle is a waxy waterproof layer to reduce water loss, because if there's not enough water, photosynthesis cannot occur. The epidermis is a single layer of cells, so light, carbon dioxide can go to these cells faster, because these are the main photosynthesis cells. So the fastest radiant energy and carbon dioxide goes to the cells, and glucose is made faster. That's why the epidermis is a single layer of cells. The palisade mesophyll is tightly packed, as you can see here. It's tightly packed, regular shaped, and it has more chloroplasts, and it's the main tissue that is responsible for making food. That's why the top of the leaf is greener. Spongy mesophyll, like its name, spongy, has air spaces. Air spaces is there for gases exchange. Spongy mesophyll, they're irregular shaped, they have air spaces and less chloroplasts. So the function of the spongy mesophyll is still photosynthesis. There's the lower epidermis with more stomata, more guard cells. The guard cells are there for gases exchange, meaning they allow carbon dioxide to enter, oxygen to leave. The vein consists of xylem and phloem, which xylem will transport water to these cells for photosynthesis, and phloem will transport the organic food away from the leaves to the roots and the stems. Then here is the adaptations of the leaf for photosynthesis. The petiole is the part of the leaf, it's the leaf stalk. So this is the petiole. It holds the leaf in the best place for getting sunlight. It's flat, the leaf is flat, so more surface area for more radiant energy, more carbon dioxide. Cuticle, waxy, waterproof, so the plant doesn't lose too much water and it doesn't affect epidermis. We spoke about the mesophyll, which is a palisade spongy. We spoke about the stomata. There's more stomata on the bottom of the leaf because it's cooler and it can reduce water loss. So let's look at the diagram of the chloroplast. There's a diagram of the chloroplast. So if you're drawing this, double unit membrane, the outer and the inner, that's one granum, that's a grana, that's an intergranum, there's your grana, the fluid inside, that's the stroma, and then you have your starch granules. So oval shaped, so a lot of sunlight can enter the chloroplast, so a lot of glucose can be made. The double unit membrane, you know, is semi-permeable. These membranes are semi-permeable to allow carbon dioxide, radiant energy, so that's radiant energy, water to enter, and glucose and oxygen to leave. There are many grana, many thylakoids, increased surface area, so more glucose is made. Chlorophyll traps the radiant energy. The fluid is called the stroma, and the stroma contains enzymes which control dark phase. Ribosomes make more proteins for photosynthesis, and the starch granules are there for storage of glucose in emergency energies. In emergency situation. What's the requirements of photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, radiant energy from the sun, water from the roots in the ground, glucose is produced, oxygen is released. Now, this is just some diagrams. Now let's look at the light and the dark phase. So, okay, here it shows you light energy. So if I draw a picture, I'm going to draw the light energy, the sunlight, which now, so you don't have to know all of this, which the light energy or the radiant energy, splits the water up into hydrogen and oxygen. There you see it there. That's the oxygen that's released into the air. This hydrogen combines with the hydrogen carrier. There's the name of the hydrogen carrier, NADP. So this is in the light phase. The light phase takes place in the granum. Okay, there's it. Takes place in the granum, which is the thylakoid, right? The thylakoid is a membrane that holds all the granum together. So this membrane here, that's a thylakoid. Okay, that's a thylakoid. So I'll put it in a different color. So we draw it here at the bottom. There's your thylakoid. And inside is your granum. So the thylakoid is that membrane that holds all the granum together. So it's this purple membrane. So light phase takes place in the granum, dark phase takes place in the stroma. And so this hydrogen you need in the dark phase. So this is the light phase. This is the dark phase. So I need this hydrogen here. So then you have your NADP, which you don't have to know is the name of the hydrogen carrier. So it picks up the hydrogen and it takes it to the dark phase. During this process, when the hydrogen is split, you also have ATP that's formed. Now, this hydrogen will go and be dropped off. The ATP also is used here in the dark phase, and then you already know you need carbon dioxide. So the hydrogen and the carbon dioxide will combine with the energy from the ATP. So ATP gives the hydrogen and carbon dioxide energy to combine and form glucose, H6O6. This will be used for cellular respiration, and the excess is stored as starch. So that is what happens in the light phase and the dark phase. Here's it here in notes. You can just ignore all the other detail that we do. And let's look at the different graphs. Let's look at the environmental factors, the factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. And the first one we're looking at is light intensity. And you can see that, of course, photosynthesis is influenced by the amount of light. Okay, and can you see every plant has its own different requirements to light. So what happens is here, the rate of photosynthesis increases as the light intensity decreases, but up to a certain point, and then it becomes stable. The same thing here with the carbon dioxide concentration. As the carbon dioxide concentration increases, the rate of photosynthesis will increase until it reaches its optimum. You see, there's a certain amount of carbon dioxide that's needed for photosynthesis. Once the optimum is exceeded, then that will decrease photosynthesis. And then temperature, we all know, as the rate of temperature increases, so too will the rate of photosynthesis, but up to a certain point, because the enzymes will denature, and that will decrease photosynthesis. Water can also affect photosynthesis, chlorophyll, oxygen. Okay, so what's the importance of photosynthesis? Important to make food, right? Balancing the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So photosynthesis is very important. And remember, photosynthesis, the flow of energy from the producers, that energy that's produced by photosynthesis, that energy is passed in the food chain. So food chains are important because it provides food to the ecosystem, and that comes from photosynthesis. Now, we spoke about greenhouses, very important, that you have your greenhouses with the optimum amount of the factors for photosynthesis. So they will have the right amount of light, temperature, water, carbon dioxide, soil, fertile soil. They can prevent disease-causing animals, pesticides, pests from entering. So they control the amount of all these conditions, and it's optimum, it's at its best. And by doing that, the best amount of crops are made. Okay, and they can also protect the organisms and the plants from frost. So it's a glass roof, right? There's heat that's trapped, so it's hot, or it can be hot by heaters. There's the irrigation system that provides water, right? If it's too, so it's fine. Carbon dioxide will enter. If there's too little, they'll pump in. If there's too much, they can release them by vents. Pests are not allowed to enter. Okay, they don't need to use, if they need to, they can use insecticides, or they don't need to. They can see if a plant has a virus or a bacteria. We can remove them, okay? And it's protected. So this is where you will have the optimum amount of the conditions for photosynthesis, and that's when the plant grows the best. So that is now your photosynthesis. Now, looking at the past paper question, I'm going to put it there for you to look at and do. And then I'll put the answers up for you. And you can always pause it and do it. Okay, thank you.